All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for the trading recap from December 28th to December 31st. Goodbye 2020. Trading is officially over for the year. You can see, unfortunately, did not end on a high note. This week I was down $1,430 or 3.32% on the account. Now, that is coming off of 2 weeks of all the growth stocks just taking off, breaking out of strong setups. I was up about 13.3, I think it was, percent the 2 weeks prior to that. So giving back 3.3% to end the year isn't too bad. Got stopped out of a lot of positions. Took a couple at the end of the day today that we'll go over in a little bit. But you can see here, growth stocks ended 2020 week. But again, 2 weeks, very strong action. If you're new to the channel, we do these trading recaps on Friday where I go over a bunch of the stocks that I trade, how our watch lists from Sunday and Tuesday did, and then on Tuesday we do a live stream, Tuesday or Wednesday depending on the week, we do a live stream to refresh the breakout watch list that I put out on Sunday morning, and then also take the stocks that you guys want to see and go through as many as we can. So if that's something that you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel, Stock Tricks with Nick, and give me a follow on StockTwits, Twitter, and TikTok. I got some very big news coming out tomorrow, so if you don't have notifications on, make sure you hit the notifications because you're not going to want to miss the message tomorrow. If you're watching this later, all the timestamps for the stocks that I'm going to be talking about are going to be in the comment section. So yeah, just a quick agenda. I'm going to keep this very short just because it's New Year's Eve. Not many people are going to be watching this anyway, but good to get in the reps and go through some trades. So we're going to go over market recap, Sunday's breakout watch list, the midweek movers watch list that we put out on Tuesday, look at some open positions that I have, and some final trades. Quick disclaimer, everything that I talk about is not financial advice, not trading advice. It's all just educational purposes only. Trading comes with financial risk. Please do your own due diligence. So quick look at the market recap. Good week for the market overall. S&P up 1.4%, Qs 1.3, Dow Jones up 1.2, 1.3. But the last one here, FFTY, that's the one that most correlates with the growth stocks that I typically trade. That was down 1.3%. So you can see how a lot of the larger stocks had a good week, but the stocks that I like to focus on didn't have as good of a week. So 1.3% down. Not much going there. Let's jump to their charts. So we could just take a look at those. SPY, S&P 500 first. This is where we ended on Christmas Eve, and then you can see gapped up on Monday and just kind of held through that, and we closed right at the all-time highs to end this year. QQQs next. Similar story, didn't gap up as much on Monday. QQQs are typically more correlated with the growth stocks anyway, so you could see not as much of a jump there, and then some sideways action and closed near the highs today. Dow Jones closed very strong today. Another one gapped up Monday, sideways action, closed at the high, now all-time highs for Dow Jones. And here's a look at that FFTY, the IBD top 50. You can see we finally got out of that, what we were calling the chop box 2 weeks ago. That's that 2 weeks of very strong breakouts from the growth stocks. And then the last 2 weeks, last 2 days of last week, you saw it give back some. And then stimulus was signed over the weekend. Everything gapped up on Monday. And then a lot of the growth names sold off, closed at the low of the day. Another pullback on Tuesday, up day on Thursday or Wednesday, and then kind of closed lower today. So that, again, that more reflects the stocks that I typically trade. All right, let's go to how our watch list did. Breakout watch list. This is the first week that we didn't have a very strong watch list in a while. Overall, the average gain loss, we lost just under 1%. If you just take a straight average of all the stocks that I put on the list. Some large winners were MTA plus 11%, HIMX plus 9.3, and that's with 9% sell off today, and Micron up 6.5%. The name that's hidden on my screen right here is CMBM, that's down 6.4%, but you can see Palantir down 15.1% and DraftKings down 10.7%. So yeah, down just under 1% straight average on the watch list. And comparing that to the market outperformed us this week. We definitely crushed them the 2 weeks before that. So let's take a look at some of these stocks in more detail. So we'll start with the winners and go through Palantir and DraftKings as well, because if you're new to the channel, one thing that I do is not shy away from my losers. Typically, your losing trades will teach you more than any of your winning setups will. So if anything, I try to stress when I did something wrong, because not only does that help me learn, because I have to then relive another bad trade, go through the chart and be like, okay, this is something that I didn't see in the moment. But then I also get to explain that to you guys so you guys don't make the same mistakes that I do. So we will definitely get to the losing setups in a little bit. But first, MTA. This was just bouncing a couple times around the 20-day simple moving average. That's this green line. Really strong breakout and came right back into the 8-day exponential moving average. That's this purple line. Here is the end of last week, so figured this would just get nice and quiet, and then a possible break over the high from the 23rd would be a buy point. It gapped up on that, so I never like to buy gap ups, especially Monday mornings when everything else is gapped up. Those are great selling opportunities, but not a great time to put on new positions. As you saw, the FFTY sold everything off after the morning. So that pulled down a little bit, undercut a bunch of previous lows. If you've watched my videos before, you know undercutting previous lows, great look to the setup as long as you're not already in it. Otherwise, you're going to be stopped out. But the idea behind that is it stops out all the traders that the weak hands that put their stops too tight. I'm in that group, definitely weak hand trader. I want to keep my losses as small as possible. So this shook out a lot of traders, and then the next day pulled down even further, touched that 20-day simple moving average, then rallied right back up. A break over the high from the 29th could have been buyable, and then today up 8%. Really strong action, relatively light volume, but really good move over the previous high. So that was the setup for MTA. Wanted to bring you through HIMX because this is one that I did trade myself. You can see the flags. This is a high tight flag where it breaks out over 90%. This one did 110% in 8 weeks or less, and then pullback from the high is within 25%. This pullback's 9.4%, so very tight, high tight flag. Looked like it was getting out of breaking over this pivot. That's when I bought it the first time. Then I was just taking some positions off here, trying to sell some into strength. Sell some into strength of my other winning positions, but this one was acting kind of weak, so took it off there. Tried it again with an undercut of the previous lows, and then got stopped out at even 678, yeah. And then finally, this is a good example of why you don't turn your back on a stock that shakes you out, that's still in a quality setup, because it's just trying to get as quiet as possible, make everyone forget about it, and then this kind of volume is not me and you buying. This is institutional buys. So I took the trade with a break over the high from the 28th, so a break over 719 was my buy point. Sold about 10%, 15% into the close yesterday. Really strong breakout, but unfortunately you see down 9.4% today on pretty decent volume. So I don't know if this was just end of year selling, but definitely came back in. Never hit my stop loss, which I had moved up to my entry position because I don't want to see a stock that goes up 20% come back down and now go for a losing trade. So my stop was at my entry of 719, never hit that today, and stayed above the 8-day exponential moving average. So I'm hoping this was just end of year. This has been a very strong winner. They're selling it off to book the profits, and then come next week, this will start moving up again. But great example of why you don't want to turn your back on a quality setup that has shaken you out a couple times, because uh, it's still primed to go. So as long as you can keep that emotional attachment away from it and not try to revenge trade where every time I was taking this trade, it was on lighter and lighter volume because I didn't have profit on the trade to keep extending risk. So as long as you're not like taking larger and larger size positions and losing, then it's fine to keep trading the same stock. So that was HIMX. Third top performer from the breakout watch list this week was Micron MU. This was not a high tight flag, but very strong move here. This was about a 60%, 50% rally up here, and then only pulled down, 7% from the highs. So very light pullback to the 8-day, and then another one that didn't quite, I guess it undercut the lows this week, but didn't quite undercut the lows. But I was seeing the 20-day simple moving average come up. We had a pivot point right here that could have been a buy point. But again, this gapped up on Monday. I don't buy gap ups. Then we undercut all those lows on the sell-off on Tuesday. And then Wednesday and today, increased buying volume coming all the way out. Now we have a close outside of the upper Bollinger Bands, which are constricted. It looks like new all-time highs as well. So very strong action in the second half of the week for Micron. It looks like they do have earnings coming up. When is that? On the 7th. So keep that in mind. So those were the big winners that I wanted to talk about from the breakout watch list. Now let's go to a couple of the losers. And unfortunately, I had both of these stocks. So Palantir, this one, obviously very massive move up and then pulled back about 37% on the first pullback, second pullback, 19%, third pullback, 11%. So each pullback getting tighter and tighter. You see the flag through here. I bought with the break over the high from the 17th. Sold a little bit. You can see the red flags into strength. Not getting a ton, maybe 5-6% on that, but I wanted to lighten up exposure because everything else was already ripping. The fact that this was taking a little bit more time made me a little bit cautious about it. So I had a full position when I took the trade, but immediately tried to scale some off to get a profit cushion. And that was a good thing because it looked like this was setting up again where if it broke over this pivot through here, a couple daily highs through here, then I could have really taken off. It didn't. It just sold off hard on Monday. And then the next day, undercut that low. That was my stop for the remaining portion of the trade. And then we had an inside day Wednesday, even further selling on Thursday today. So now this chart's definitely going to need some time to work itself out. Lots of volume at this range. So if it keeps selling off, it's going to take even more time because I don't want to be buying a breakout into a volume shelf like this. Typically, you'll get some selling for people who had the trade on through here and didn't listen to their stops. So we'll have to give this some more time, but it was a quality setup. Looked like it was going to go, but just like any setup, no matter how good it looks, if it starts working against you, you want to limit your downside risk. So that's what I did here. It's good to admit you're wrong as quickly as possible, and that's what I did with Palantir. Next, we have DraftKings DKNG. So similar story. Looked like it was setting up, had a rally, kind of mini cup and handle. Good volume on that breakout day, 16th right here. So things were looking good. NBA came back. And I bought on this green candle with a break over the previous high. And then on Thursday, shortened trading week, did sell off a little bit. So put this on the watch list to say if it ever broke over the high from Wednesday, that would have been buyable. So even though this was the second largest loser on the breakout watch list, similar with Palantir, it never went over the buy point that I talked about in the stream. I had already bought it earlier, but listened to my stop, got stopped out after it undercut the day's low that I took the trade on. So Since then, still kind of selling off, now sitting right at its 50-day simple moving average, again, under this volume shelf. So this is going to need some time, probably get up. I'll probably let this run up over where I bought it previously, just so we're out of that whole mess before trying to trade another breakout in DraftKings. All right, let's jump back to the midweek movers watch list. This was the live stream that we did on Tuesday night. After everything sold off on Monday and Tuesday, I built this watch list, but I built it to actually be a watch list. I wanted to see some breakouts go and hold before I would get some more money into the market. Because typically, after you get those strong sell-offs, the first couple breakouts that go will get sold off as well to soften up everyone else's P&L. Because everyone just got hit hard that were in those breakout names, those growth stocks, and the first couple breakouts that might go, they'll take those profits to make the week look better, the month look better, end of the year, make the year look better. So this was really just a watch list. I did trade HIMX, like I said earlier. That was the only one that I took. Well, I guess we'll get to Neo in a second. I took that today. But I like to build those watch lists, keep going through the, what's it called? The routine of building watch lists, training your eyes for quality setups, but it was truly just a watch list for me. The watch list did great. We had some quality breakouts. Hold, all the names were relatively up. You could see average gain loss for that 3.3%. So nice and strong there. Oops, nice and strong. Let's go over a couple names there. So BIDU. This was one that was, I think it was a high type flag. Let me measure. No, only 53% up, but really strong breakout. Came back in, tested the 8-day exponential moving average once, this purple line. Had an inside day, looked like it was going to get going, and then another kind of inside day. I guess it was technically higher highs, higher lows, but sitting below the $200 range here. And that was our watch list. Opened just below and then just took off, broke through that high, and with a ton of volume. Closed right at the high of the day, all bullish signals. Today gave back a little bit, down 1.5% after gapping up at the open as well. But really strong breakout. Because we had those sell-offs Monday, Tuesday, I did not want to take this trade just because it's still pretty early in the pullback. Typically, after things shake up, I like to use the 20-day simple moving average to start a trade, not the 8-day exponential. I said I might take it with the break over the all-time high, but didn't end up taking it myself. But really good volume coming in. Again, all bullish signals here. So that is BIDU. And let's go through NIO. This one I did take a position on today. You can see, I mean, obviously Neo has been a very strong performer, but has pulled back, kind of a double pullback, but higher lows on that. You see a nice undercut of a bunch of previous lows with the wick on the 29th. And then what could have been buyable, probably where I should have bought it, was a break back over the high from the 28th. So that would have been 46.85. I, again, wasn't keen on increasing exposure in the market at that time. So just let this run a little bit, close at the high of the day, looked nice and bullish. And then I used the high from the rally point here, the high from December 22nd, that was 49.84 to buy in. Since then, squatted a little bit, but still higher highs, higher lows above the 8-day. And now you have the correct order of the moving averages, 200, 50, 28, all in the right order. We're above this volume shelf and we're starting a new year. So let's see how that holds. But that was my trade idea with Neo. So jumping to my current positions, right now I'm 42% net long invested after it got shaken out Monday and Tuesday. Again, I was slow to put on some new positions. So 53.3% long. I do have an 11% short position in the Dow Jones. That's slow moving, just to kind of hedge if I get stopped out of a lot of trades. But right now, Amazon's my largest holding just because it's such a expensive stock. But we'll go through Amazon and AA for a deeper look. But as you can see, only 3% positions between 5% and 10%. None are over 10%. So that shakeout and what I was doing was selling into strength on a lot of these names that have 1% or 3%. I had already those were at one point full positions, but I was selling into strength in the 2 weeks. That's what made the last 2 weeks before this so profitable, and then made this week's pullback only 3% after a 13% rally. So selling into strength when everything was taking off, when everything was working, definitely the right call because Monday was bad, but it wasn't terrible. So let's go over AMZN, Amazon, and AA. If you guys are enjoying the video, please leave a like. Comment what stock you're watching for going into 2021, and subscribe to the channel. All right, so Amazon, great VCP setup with a 5-month base, 4-month base. Let it load for a second, but like we covered in the breakout watch list before, got that 19% pullback high to low, 15% pullback high to low, 11% pullback high to low, 4.5%, 3%. So every pullback's getting tighter and tighter. People are done disagreeing over the price. Everyone thinks it's the right price. Each pullback gives a different type of duration trader a reason to get out. So the short-term traders through here got out right away, then middle term. But what I was looking here, volume dried up right where you want to see, right at the end of the range when everything was completely tight. That's why I was saying there was very little disagreement on price because the volume was very light. Got that strong breakout on Monday, bought the breakout over the high from the 17th. So 32.63 was my buy point. Since then, higher highs, higher lows, and then Wednesday and Thursday gave back a little, but still closed above the 8-day exponential moving average. We're still over this volume shelf, and the volume on the 2 pullback days much lighter compared to the breakout days. So this looks very, very strong. You've seen a lot of money kind of shift back into the bigger names towards the end of the year. So we'll see if this can start 2021 strong. That's AMZN. Last stock we're going to be talking about today is AA. You can see I tried this one earlier last week. This was a high tight flag, up 100% in 8 weeks or less, and then a pullback of only 12%. So within that 25% range for a high tight flag. Bought with a breakout over these 2 days highs, and then got some sideways action. Looked like it was going to break out again, but squatted, so took it off relatively quickly on Tuesday. Next day, you can see, well, on Tuesday I got out, let's see what price, 21.75. So right through here, this was my price I got out. Had no idea it was going to create a long lower wick like that, but buyers did step in. It looks like right at the lows of the candle from the 21st. Rallied it back up, then got a strong move on Wednesday, and then I bought with a break over Wednesday's high, 23.19. And I like how the low of today's candle bounced off the converging 8-day exponential moving average and the 20-day simple moving average. So that's right around my stop, and this has that nice look to it. The 20-day is now caught up, so we'll see if this gets going. Even though this is a high tight flag, this is more of like just consistent uptrends bouncing between the 8-day and the upper Bollinger Band. So not going to be the 20% move in one day like the HIMX high tight flag breakout was, but I do think that AA could be a quality breakout if we can get going next week. All right, so that is the recap of the week. We're ending 2020, and again, big news coming tomorrow, so make sure you have your notifications on. And if you don't already, subscribe to the channel, Stock Tricks with Nick, and give me a follow on StockTwits, Twitter, and TikTok. Have a great end of 2020, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.